The morning sunlight peeked out from behind tall buildings, the sky was clear and blue, a new day began at the elementary beast school. The teacher's reminder rang out in the classroom: "Students, there is less than a week left until the beastmaster exam, and tomorrow will be the day to evaluate the qualifications of the beastmasters." The teacher stood on the podium seriously and continuously said, "All of you have signed your first beast-bending contract, so today, you should rest well, prepare fully and strive to get good results. Okay, everyone is dismissed." The sound of dismissal was heard among the students in the class, making a stir of discussion. One by one, people left the classroom, but the gossip still showed no signs of stopping. "It's about to determine the status of beastmaster. I'm so worried," the other students replied. "Who wouldn't? With our current strength, it's already very difficult to train as a beastmaster, let alone a high-level beastmaster academy. This is basically unthinkable." A brown-haired student with strong muscles stood up, his face full of confidence, and laughed loudly. "My goal is the Beast Taming Academy in Ningguang City. Even though I can't reach the top Beast Taming Academy, with my strength, getting into a normal academy won't be a problem." The student sitting right next to the energetic young man held his head with a pale face and worriedly replied, "If I can't even get the qualification to train for beast taming, then my whole life will be I can just be a normal person." In the midst of everyone's heated discussion, there was still a guy sitting at the back of the class with his chin in his hands and looking out the window, indifferent to what was happening. Although his face was pensive, his mind was a mess of thoughts. The assessment of his qualifications as a beast master was about to take place, but hey, I'm a time traveler, so what does that have to do with anything? He was confused with his thoughts in the midst of the chaotic flow of time. He began to reminisce about the things that had happened before. "That's right, a week ago, I was transported into the body at this time. Through the fusion of memories carried in this body, I also knew what kind of world this was, the scene of animals entering the mainland ferociously and cruelly destroying all houses and people, or we could say that everything they saw was brutally destroyed. The destruction in the past appeared. Hundreds of years ago during the disaster period, countless ferocious beasts appeared from cracks in different dimensions, then hunted and killed humans, causing creatures to perish. After that, humans counterattacked. The fierce battle of that period took place on the ruins destroyed by ferocious beasts, especially on the human side. Other creatures appeared, such as fire phoenixes. During the brutal war, they gradually found a way to control ferocious beasts and command them to fight. From then on, training for them to fight became more and more important. A series of different training schools such as ice, fire and metal were established, along with extremely proficient and outstanding leaders. This is how the profession of beastmaster was born and stepped onto the world stage. In this age of beast bending masters naturally become symbols of status and class. It can be said that becoming a beast master means entering the elite class of society. The biggest dream of young people in this world is to become a powerful spirit master, along with the image of hands cradling an unhatched biological egg. In this world, all young people over the age of 18 can sign their first beast contract. Everyone will receive a creature egg. The higher the soul power, the higher the level limit of the pet beast that can be contracted. The image in his head followed the flow of thoughts into the shape of a small ice ball with cold eyes. However, all of this had nothing to do with me, because the original owner of this body, before I traveled through time, had already signed the first beast-bending contract. This ball novel is harmless to humans and animals. It only knows how to act cute. Thinking of the ball novel's puffed cheeks to appear cute, the boy complained and thought, not only does this guy have no damage, but it also cannot evolve. Maybe in the future, I will just be an ordinary person and live an ordinary life. Thinking about this, he is always gloomy, snowflakes are flying, the wind is cold. Following the flow of memories, he placed his hand on his chin and looked outside, sighing in frustration and mumbling, "Sigh, other time travelers, if they didn't have golden fingers, they would still have powerful strength, able to destroy heaven and earth, and it's my turn, why is it like a crow like this?" His train of thought was interrupted when a hand was placed on his shoulder from behind along with a mocking sound. "Stop thinking about it, it's okay if you don't become a beast master. Being a normal office worker doesn't mean you have to venture out, it's not bad." The crowd's mocking laughter rang out right after that, and the scornful words continued to be raised. "Ha ha, that's right, it doesn't matter if you don't become a beast master. At best you can bring a snowball and sell ice cream at the entrance of the shopping center, that's fine." The other person next to him immediately chimed in, "That's right, ha ha ha, selling ice cream and cold mineral water is not bad." Lamb Trot was angered by the insults, gritted his teeth and exclaimed indignantly, "Guys!" At that moment, a notification from the system appeared. The system was fully charged, starting up, the system was being activated, the system was activated successfully and the achievement system officially started. The things that just happened before his eyes made him overwhelmed for a moment. This is Golden Finger. No wonder I've been in space for so long, but the system hasn't appeared yet. Turns out it's because it's being charged. After understanding, he raised his head to the sky and raised his fists, screaming happily, "Damn, the sound of heaven is so wonderful, my golden finger has finally arrived." The following information about him continuously appeared: Lin Trot, Physique 1,0, Soul 0,8, Level 0, Soul Power 80/80, Soul Magic 0, Little Pet Snowball, Achievement Points 0, Note the physical and soul attributes of men, normal adult gender is 1, he licked his lips and curiously operated on the system. Information continues to appear. Achieving achievements can receive achievement points and bonus items. Achievement points can be used to speed up the growth of the pet, unlock skills, enhance the attributes of the beastmaster and many other functions. Lamb Trot exclaimed, "There's still this, it's so powerful, what about the little snowball?" After speaking, the system uploaded information about the snowball. The snowball's name, ice attribute, first level, first stage, growth rate of 23.48%, skill that spews cold air, can increase the growth rate of, through fighting or eating energy-rich items. When the growth rate reaches 100%, it will activate evolution. After evolution, the power level of the pet will be greatly improved. He looked at the system screen and the snowball seriously reciting the information just mentioned. Reaching 100% growth would trigger evolution. His eyes flashed with contemplation. Oh, evolution, could it be possible to evolve? Wait a minute. The system then automatically proposed an optional evolution path for the little snowball, a giant path, an evolutionary method that enhances close combat capabilities, focuses on improving physical strength and weakens the ability to control the ice element. The next evolutionary form of the snow monster can evolve up to the 5th stage. Attached to that is the image of a mighty giant after completing evolution. 2 queen paths, methods of enhancing ice elements and natural talents, focusing on improving casting ability, weakening melee attributes. The next evolution form snowball can evolve to king level. Just like the one evolution image of this route is a powerful and cold ice queen, Lamb Trot was shocked with the information he just received. His words were full of wonder. The little snowball clearly couldn't evolve, but could this be the hidden evolutionary path? He looked at the little snowball in his hand and understood what he had just received. If he said that, he wouldn't need to sell ice cream. Could he be a beast tamer? Even the queen path can evolve to the king level. He imagined for himself the appearance of an invincible queen. His face then appeared full of sharpness and fiery spirit. He looked at the little snowball he held in his hand and thought, "That's great." The snowball's evolution method was chosen right after that. Queen's path, next evolution form little snowball, conditions to be met, 100% growth, downgraded ice elemental essence x20, soul gem 11, you quickly work on the system. First try using achievement points to upgrade your snowball. On the screen immediately appeared the words, "The first pet, you have successfully signed a contract with the first pet in your life. Achieve the achievement can get 100 achievement points. Crystal Soul successfully receive admission notice from any Beastmaster Academy, and obtain 300 achievement points, Soul Crystal 11 and Strength Crystal 11. He looked at the data in front of him and happily said, "There is one that can be obtained, quickly 100 achievement points, 11 Soul Crystals are added, it's done." Next, Lamb Trot raised his hand over the little snowball to begin casting spells, using achievement points to start leveling it up. Surrounded by green energy, the small ball vibrates for a while to begin leveling up. Level 1, Stage 1, Maturity Level 23, 48%. The system is also continuously updated, successfully evolving, First Class, Second Stage, 100% Maturity. He held the little snowball in his hand and happily shook it back and forth. He leveled up, but he was able to do it. The statistics after evolution were quickly updated, consuming 77 achievement points, leaving 23 achievement points. Lamb Trot squeezed the little snowball's cheek and mumbled regretfully, "But such a dazzling special effect only happened for a moment. Too little, this kid is classified as an F-rank pet, this is truly unfair." He thought more, he still needed to prepare more Ice Elemental Essence and Soul Jade to evolve to be the King's Path, 20 Ice Elemental Essences and 1 Soul Jade. Most normal people definitely wouldn't be able to figure out how to evolve this little snowball, but these things aren't cheap at all. Lamb Trot, with his school bag on his shoulder, walked out of the classroom thinking, go make money first, then go to the pet store to buy evolution materials, leaving behind the taunts that show no signs of stopping. Ha ha, Lamb Trot, are you preparing to take the little snowball home to sell ice cream? He ignored those filthy words and gently turned to whisper to the little snowball, "Kid, don't pay attention to these trash. Tomorrow's Beast Bender qualification assessment will depend on you. the response was the cute meow of the little ball. The person who had just ridiculed heard what he said and immediately became angry. His face was hideously veined. He uttered each vicious sentence through his teeth. "You piece of trash, what did you say?" He stared at him and thought carefully. The Gang family is the second largest family in Gangneung City. We cannot compete with him for now. We have to be careful. Lamb Trot straightened his coat, looked at him provocatively and said, "Who is the trash? We will just have to wait for the scores of the beastmaster exam to know." He held back laughter, spit. Then burst out laughing and pointed at his face with disdain. "You, bringing a stuffed animal that can't evolve, ha ha ha, if I were you, I wouldn't even take the beastmaster qualification exam tomorrow, because I can't pass, ha ha ha." The junior next to him laughed and added, "Ha ha ha, why don't you hurry up and go home and sell ice cream?" Before he could react, a girl with pretty short light blonde hair and a tear mole under the corner of her eye walked over and reminded him, arrogantly, "Don't be so unreasonable." He saw her coming and crossed her arms and replied, "It turned out to be the high lady official. Good, I'm not too much, but I'm afraid of this trash, ha ha ha." The junior next to him pointed at her and added, "Ha ha, I really don't know why the high lady official likes this trash. Wouldn't it be much better to be with our good brother?" Lamb Trot leisurely turned around and left but did not forget to tell her, "Leave the security, no need to argue with them. When the time comes, you will naturally understand." He added, "I have to go to the pet store, you should go home first." The response was her soft After returning from the store, he stood in front of the house and wondered why the evolution ingredients were so expensive. He put his hand on the back of his neck and continued to complain sadly. In the blink of an eye, he had spent all his monthly savings. His train of thought was suddenly interrupted by a distant call, and he went into hiding. He turned his head towards the sound and saw the person behind him and immediately exclaimed, "Security!" Security ran up to him and said, "Are you home? Mom told me to ask you, do you want to come to my house for dinner tonight?" Lamb Trot replied, "Okay, I'll come over tonight." Then she shyly tucked her hair behind her ear and stammered shyly, "I'm sorry, that. The Beastmaster qualification assessment tomorrow, can you come with me?" After hearing what she said, he immediately agreed without hesitation. Of course, after all, he also participated in the evaluation of qualifications. After hearing that, she excitedly spoke up, "Are you telling the truth? That's too good, you're in trouble, you must definitely show those gangsters some less arrogance." He gave a thumbs up and replied firmly, "Rest assured he will surprise everyone." She happily turned around and raised her hand to say goodbye. "So let's do it, come over to my house to eat later." "I'm sorry." He waved goodbye and gently replied, He entered the house and sat on the sofa, looking at what he was holding in his hand, and the little snowball said, "It's just low-level ice elemental essence and soul gems, but it's already this expensive. Kid, you'll have to spend a lot of money to level up in the future." The little snowball on the floor danced happily as if she understood what he said and replied, "Meow." He dropped the things in his hand on the ground and said to the little snowball, "Come on, kid, eat these things, then you can evolve." Seeing that, the little snowball rushed in and devoured it, so he had to remind him, "Eat slowly, no one is going to rob you." As soon as he finished speaking, the things he gave him were finished being processed, along with the little snowball's belching sound. As soon as he finished eating, the small snowball gradually became larger. He looked at the transformation of the little snowball and said, Is it really about to evolve?" Immediately a beam of light appeared. Lamb Trot raised his hand to cover his eyes and spoke. It was so dazzling. From the stream of light slowly appeared the arms, legs and head of a child. The light gradually faded and a little girl with a cute round tail appeared behind her. Its face and shape gradually became clearer, with short hair and small ice cubes on its head. Its face was full of coldness. Immediately after that, information about the girl appeared. Little Snowball, name Little Snowball, ice attribute, level 2 stage 2, growth rate 0%, skill Ice Hammer, extremely cold field, female line, next evolution form Snow Girl, required condition to achieve 100% growth, intermediate ice elemental essence X20, Ice Heart 11. He looked at the person in front of him and smiled happily. The evolution was successful, Little Snowball. After the Little Snowball evolved to level 2, stage 2, Lamb Trot still stood there staring at the person in front of him, thinking in surprise, he had actually increased to a great realm. Now, for a senior student of Bin High No. 1 high school, the average strength level of a pet beast was about 3 stages to 5 stages at a time. He didn't expect that he had directly reached stage 2. The little snowball happily came closer to him and rubbed and coddled him. Then he thought to himself, "It's too cold." Then his eyes shifted to the large iceberg formed after the leveling up of the little snowball lying in the middle of the house. Contemplating, just being close made him feel cold. It seemed his strength had increased. even stronger than he imagined. The system also displayed a notification at that moment, completing the first evolution and receiving 100 achievement points and enhancement crystals. Lamb Trot looked at the screen performing the operation and secretly felt happy. If the system hadn't shown what ingredients the little snowball needed to evolve, no one would have used these ingredients to raise weak pets like this. Take it back, this bet, I'm right, I pulled it out. After a series of soul crystal manipulations, enhancement crystals immediately appeared in his hand. Soul crystals can increase the strength of the soul, and the strength of the soul determines the number and level of contracted pets. Furthermore, the strengthening crystals directly increase one's physical condition, which is very important. After receiving information about the two objects, he did not hesitate to swallow them. Right after swallowing it, his body immediately had a strong reaction. A stream of power surrounded the forest. The system also quickly announced, Lamb Trot, physical condition increased from 1 to 2, soul 0,8 increased to 1,8, soul power increased from 80 to 180, ice soul pet level 2, stage 2, achievement point 123. He immediately felt his body filled with energy. He no longer felt cold, but also felt a constant flow of strength. He punched the wall with force. A large hole immediately appeared in the wall. He looked at what was in front of him and thought, although there was no need to personally participate in the battle, strong physical strength was always a good thing. In case of danger, the possibility of survival could be greatly increased. The little snowball ran up and hugged his leg and rubbed it, his mouth emitting a cute ahoo sound. He looked down at the ice soul at his feet and said, decisively all in, using all achievement points. Consume all achievement points, level up. Lamb Trot raised his hand to cast a spell to level up his pet. Level 2 Stage 2, growth rate 100%, 123 achievement points. The ice soul is upgraded to level 2, Stage 4, an increase of 24%. He cast the level up spell while thinking, waiting until tomorrow. When he evaluated, he would definitely surprise them. The next day, Lamb Trot and Nin Nin walked to school together. She stretched her arms and looked at him from behind and asked, "Are you ready?" He smiled confidently and replied, "Of course, today I will also be a beastmaster." She smiled happily, "That's great, brother, why have you suddenly become more motivated? If it was before, you would definitely never participate." He smiled mysteriously and replied, "Because people always change." When two female students saw him and her walking together, they looked and talked. Sigh, that's Quan Nin, a genius student in high school, Bin Hai No, one high school, why does she always like to go with that trash? Another female student next to her crossed her arms, her face looked unhappy and replied, "Who knows, I heard that Chow Hung confessed to her yesterday and was rejected. Hess, why does everyone like her, what good is she?" After hearing that, her friend next to her immediately reminded her, "Shh, keep your voice down." Lamb Trot heard the rude comments behind him and thought, Quan Nin is my cousin. And also a genius at Bin Hai No, one high school. There are always many people who admire and envy her, but it seems like she doesn't care about others. After walking for a while, she turned back and asked him, "Brother, are you really planning to use a snowball to participate in the eligibility assessment?" He smiled dirty and made a firm fist, "Of course, don't underestimate that little snowball." She excitedly put her arms around his neck and hugged him tightly, saying, "If we all make it through today, then let's go celebrate." Being surprised by her actions, he staggered forward a bit, "Ouch ah." The girl above continued to say, "There is a store that I have wanted to visit once for a long time." The guy below shyly made a sound, huff, when his face was pressed against her bust. Suddenly there was a loud angry scream calling her over, "Security officer, please stop for me." Behind an extremely angry freckled girl was walking with a fat, tattooed man pointing at her and saying, It was she who stole my man." Lamb Trot, she let go of her hand and rubbed her neck. At the same time, the security official glanced at the girl unhappily and asked, "Who are you, and who is her boyfriend?" The other girl shyly stomped her foot and shouted loudly, "It was Chu Hung." She nonchalantly replied, Oh, is that young guy?" In her mind, a man with rainbow-colored hair now appeared in her head, a flat nose with a mustache and a rose branch in his hand, looking extremely funny. She crossed her arms and added in boredom, "Sorry, I'm not interested in him. He confessed to me, but I rejected him." After hearing that, the freckled girl loudly argued back. She said nonsense, she must have seduced him first. The security official didn't want to say anything more, so he grabbed his hand and turned around to pull him away. "Let's go, brother, there's no need to explain much to them, we have more important things to do." The tattooed guy saw that and immediately held her shoulder and said, "Hey, you don't care about me at all, have I let you guys go yet? If you've teased my sister, don't blame me for not being polite. She glared at the man behind her and said unhappily, removing her hand. After hearing this, the chubby man's face turned purple. He angrily raised his fist to hit her and shouted, "Mom, this brat, taste my power." But before he could touch her, his hand was suddenly held by Lamb Trot. The security officer turned his head to see the scene and couldn't help but be surprised. The girl with the freckled face saw that and immediately said, "You, stop joking around, his cousin is trash, everyone knows." When he saw that, he scoffed in a low voice, "You think you're a hero to save a beauty, why don't you weigh your weight?" Hearing that, his face turned dark and he kicked him hard, sending him flying back. After the kick, he immediately flew away, past the girl and then landed with great force. The freckled-faced girl saw this and cried out in fear, "Brother!" Lamb Trot slowly walked closer to the man he had just kicked away, who was still struggling on the ground. He adjusted his coat and looked at the person in front of him. He lay on the ground and gritted his teeth angrily after listening. The security official looked at what had just happened and couldn't help but think, turns out Mr. Lamb Trot is so powerful. And he stood there strong and confident, raising his fist and looking at it. He couldn't help but happily exclaim, it was unexpected, his physical strength increased to such a great extent. The tattooed man did not give up and stood up angrily and threatened, "If you want to die, then don't blame me." He stood facing him, raised his hand and began to cast spells and summons. A blinding blue light appeared. She and he still stood calmly watching to see what he planned to do next. Right after the fire, a powerful snow-white fox appeared. It is the second stage of the wolf beast system. He propped himself up and smiled fiercely, "Ha ha, these two high school students still want to fight with my middle school student." The security officer on the opposite side immediately became worried after hearing that. "That's right, my pet is only at the first stage right now." Even though she was confident enough with it, the chance of winning was very small, but there was no other way. Along with a stream of thoughts flowing through her, she also raised her hand, ready to release her pet to fight. But her intention had not yet come true because Lamb Trot confidently rushed forward on her behalf. She looked at his actions and cried out in panic, "Brother, do something." She kept talking after him, "Brother, do you want to use a small snowball to fight him?" He turned his head and smiled gently, leaving behind a reassuring shadow and gently replied, "If you get injured, it will affect your personality assessment, just leave this matter to me." The girl with the freckled face seemed to see a joke and scoffed, "Ha ha ha, are you scared out of your mind, relying only on a guy with the lowest qualifications in the sea, and yet you dare to be so arrogant? Big brother, teach them a lesson." The tattooed man arrogantly pointed his finger forward and gave an order to his pet, "Come to me." Following his master's command, the wolf ran forward fiercely. Lamb Trot raised his hand forward and seriously cast a spell, preparing to release his pet to fight. The ferocious wolf rushed towards him and jumped up to attack. It roared horribly, its eyes were sharp, its pupils were vertical and scary, and it mysteriously rushed as if preparing to finish off its prey. But right after that, its muzzle was covered by a block of ice. It turned out that he had already released the little snowball. Her eyes were as cold as the wolf's. She clasped her hands in front of her chest in anticipation of casting a spell. Soon the giant wolf turned into a giant block of ice. Its movements were frozen before it could cause any damage. The two brothers of the freckled girl saw what had just happened. Their hair stood on end, they were cold and couldn't believe their eyes. Seeing this, the official standing aside was also suspicious, and said in surprise, "This is a little snowball." Lamb Trot happily turned around to answer her question. The little snowball had evolved. On the other side, the angry tattooed man kept looking at the ice in front of him and shouted loudly, "Move quickly, Yulang." And he happily continued to explain, "Now it's called a little snowball." The girl coldly raised her hands in front of her and made a move, causing the iceberg in front of her eyes to break into hundreds of pieces. Broken pieces of ice fell to the other man's feet. His face turned pale and he couldn't believe what was in front of him. No, it couldn't be. He held his head in despair, looking at the things in front of him and crying out, "You're just a high school student, your pet can only reach level 9 at most, how could you so cruelly kill my second-level pet?" The freckle-faced girl panicked and turned to him and asked worriedly, "Big brother, what to do now?" He immediately replied, unexpectedly, "It also has a second-level pet beast that is even more advanced, it's failed, let's go." As soon as they finished their sentence, before they could run away, they were called back by the warning voice of Lamb Trot. "Hey," his glance at them was full of authority, "have I told you two to go yet?" Hearing that, his two brothers gasped in surprise, their faces covered in sweat and fear, swallowing their saliva and gulping. The two sides stood on two front lines separating them from a giant ice carpet full of broken pieces of ice falling on the ground. The fat man was sweating and his eyes looked down as if hesitating to contemplate his next action. Immediately he used his fastest speed to run in front of Lamb Trot, bowed 90 degrees and said loudly, "I'm sorry big brother, we were wrong." He glanced down and looked down at the person bowing his head to apologize and calmly said, "I'm the one you two need to apologize to." As soon as he heard everything he said, he did not dare to raise his head. He quickly turned to the official and loudly apologized, "I'm sorry, my friend, we were wrong, please forgive us this time. When I return home, I will teach Chu Hung." The freckled girl saw her brother acting like that and unwillingly called out, "Big brother." Immediately, he didn't have time for the girl to react and turned around and slapped her hard in the face and shouted a lesson. Why was he still standing there? Why don't you apologize quickly? The security officer saw them like that and generously turned away, waved his hand and said, "Let it go, you guys go quickly." He held his sister's shoulder, who was trembling violently after being beaten, giving her a painful and cold blow as the little snowball's ice continued to fall. He humbly agreed, Lamb Trot walked over to the little snowball and happily placed his hand on her head and said, "Okay." Immediately the surrounding ice began to melt. He raised his head and looked at the back of the man holding his sister's neck with one hand and running away in denial. After the brother's back disappeared, she happily ran in front of him, gesticulating and praising him. "Brother, you're really amazing. What did you do? That's a two-stage wolf. What is a little snowball? Can a little snowball evolve?" Lamb Trot smiled and reached down to pet the little snowball. The girl also happily rubbed his hand back as if to respond. He said, "That's right, but there's not much time left. Let's talk about these things later. We have to quickly go to the location where the eligibility test will take place." The sunlight shining on the glass surface of the Beast Taming Association building reflected dazzling rainbow-colored light. At the foot of the building, the crowd was buzzing with excitement and competing to look at something in front of them. That was the original rock with a huge body, placed right in front of the building's gate. The rock's body was cracked in a large space, revealing the mysterious emerald green space inside. In the crowd, people were talking back and forth, looking at it, noisily discussing, was that the original rock? It's really big, but it doesn't seem surprising at all. In the comments some people praise and some people criticize it for making the atmosphere extremely bustling, while the police and officers just stand still in the crowd and quietly observe. He stood below with his hands in his pockets, glanced up at the rock and thought carefully, this is the last level assessment for this year, and some people will lose their qualifications to be beast benders forever, and those who succeed will join in the Beast Bending Academy will have a new life. I must be successful. While everyone was excitedly discussing, the sound of the door opening successfully attracted their attention. A bearded man with silver hair had a small coin in his right hand and a file in his left hand. He walked out wearing a bright overcoat, followed by a group of bodyguards wearing black vests and glasses, looking very serious. He spoke as he walked, welcoming everyone to the evaluation of their qualifications as apprentice beast tampers today. Everyone who entered received a small bronze medal, with the words low level and level written on it, intermediate, high level, super level, he said. He held out the coin in his palm and added, "This is the key to enter the virtual realm of the original stone." He pointed his hand towards the stone that continues to spread. You need to choose the difficulty of the challenge to face. The more difficult the level you pass, the richer the reward will be. Please look at the screen. On the background of the mysterious green space, lines of text appear one after another. After passing the lower difficulty level, you will receive the status of Apprentice Beast Bender, Soul +1, Pet Growth Rate +5%, Intermediate difficulty level. After passing, you will receive the status of Apprentice Beast Bender, Soul +2, Pet Growth Rate +10%, Advanced difficulty. After passing, you will be promoted to Trainee Beast Bender +3 Soul, Physical +2, the growth level of the designated pet +20%, opens the second beast control box, the super level of energy. After passing the promotion to the Trainee Beastmaster level, the soul adds 5, the physical body adds 3, the designated pet growth level adds 30%, opens the second beast control box. After reading the information on the rock, the crowd below was excited because the reward was so attractive. The attraction was amazing. So if they could pass the super difficulty level, how good would it be? Other people nearby heard this and also spoke up to discuss. Don't dream anymore. Less than a tenth of the people can pass the high level difficulty, so this time we have to pass the low level, get the qualifications to practice beast control and then talk about it. Many conflicting opinions were given. The security officer also curiously turned to Lamb Trot and asked, "Brother, which one do you choose?" He held the coin tightly in his palm and silently did not answer. The white-haired man seriously advised, Before everyone chooses the difficulty level of the test, I advise you one thing. This is really related to future development, so everyone should consider carefully, then combine your own strengths to choose the difficulty level suitable for each person. She heard the man standing up there bow his head and contemplated carefully, then her finger decided to stop on the advanced difficulty level bar. After the time to choose the appropriate level for each person ends, the parameters appear on the screen. 46 people in low-level difficulty, 10 people in intermediate difficulty, 1 person in advanced difficulty, 1 person in super difficulty. The result that appeared before my eyes caused quite a stir. Many people laughed. Did I see wrong? But there was someone who chose the super difficulty level. The other person next to him also added ridicule. That's right, I'm afraid this person hasn't woken up yet. When was this time and he slipped up again? What an idiot. Through the laughter, a finger was quietly placed on the super difficult level before it could be retracted. Lamb Trot looked at the coin in his palm and held it tightly with a determined smile. Contrary to the quiet attitude of the man around, he still continued to discuss. No matter who it was, this guy will definitely not be able to enter the Beast Academy this year. It seemed that this discussion topic attracted countless comments around, but suddenly the officer's eyes accidentally fell on the coin in Lamb Trot's hand. She suddenly shouted loudly, You chose super difficulty," she continued worriedly. "If by luck you fail this year, you won't be able to enter the Beast Taming Academy." He stood in the middle of the crowd holding the coin with a gentle smile towards her and replied, "Don't worry, I can consider it myself." People around heard the conversation between the two people and tried to speak up. Did this guy choose the super difficulty level, or did he press the wrong button? I'm afraid this guy is stupid. The silver-haired man heard the gossip directed towards him and reminded him, "Boy, did you hear what I said just now? You have to choose carefully." Lamb Trot looked at his hand holding the coin and responded seriously, "This was a decision made after careful consideration." Hearing those eloquent words coming out of his mouth, the surprised silver-haired man asked again. What he meant was, he thought he could pass the super difficult level. He gave him a sharp look full of confidence and replied, "Of course." He turned around and said with an amused smile on his face, "Ha ha, the young man is still enthusiastic. I gave you advice, if you still want to play with fire then it's up to you." He returned to the original stone steely, pointed at it and loudly declared, "If everyone has made their choice, then I declare the test to begin." Both he and she and the group of people below voluntarily divided themselves into different areas and sat neatly on the ground, closing their eyes and waiting for the test to start. As soon as everyone was seated neatly, from the stone slab a dim turquoise smoke emitted through each person sitting below. Then the stone shook violently and the emerald green space in the middle emitted a blinding light that shone down on everyone. Immediately, there was a mysterious space where the stone slab automatically divided and outlined each person's area. After everyone had started the test, the silver-haired man stood in front of the stone, looked at the chart sketched in that magical space and said to himself, "Lamb Trot, right, very interesting." The image of the test followed Lamb Trot into the stone slab. He had just entered his area so he was still sitting neatly in the middle of this large space. He began to put his hands on his legs to gain momentum to stand up. He straightened his clothes and looked around, thinking, it seemed like he had entered the virtual world of the original stone steely. His body outside the real world still quietly closed his eyes and sat with everyone else, who had also entered the virtual world to take the test like him. Before starting, the system suddenly sent a few notes to everyone. Any injuries that occurred in the virtual world would not affect him in the real world, including the death of his pet. Seeing this, Lamb Trot's interest increased even more. He brushed his sleeves and said, "Then there's nothing to worry about anymore, just relax and play." Suddenly the system board sent a notification to him, making him startled. "You have an unclaimed achievement for winning the first match defeating Yilang." Lamb Trot read the text that had just appeared and happily exclaimed, "Oh shit, I'm here and can still see the system, please accept it." Quickly the text on the screen changed according to his actions too. "You have received 100 Soul Crystal Achievement Points 1. He tapped the input screen and ordered, "Quickly use the 100 achievement points and soul crystals." Immediately, both Lamb Trot and the little snowball girl felt that their strength was gradually increasing. His soul attribute from 1,8 increased to 2,8. And platelet growth rate is 24% to 44% and 2 stage 4 increases to 2 stage 6. After successfully receiving the power, he clenched his fists and silently felt confident in his heart. If he did this, the odds of winning would be even higher. The official test begins and the first red door slowly opens. The opening creature quickly appears in front of the forest to prepare for battle. It's a stage 1, 7-stage fire lizard. Its shape is unique with its striking orange fur and a blazing fire right at its tail. Its mouth made a strange, clucking sound. He looked at the animal in front of him and suddenly felt confused, not that it was a super difficult level, but why was there only a level 1 animal? As soon as he finished speaking, the lizard roared and spewed fire. He seemed to calmly smile, point his finger at it and order the little snowball, ice hammer. Following his orders, the girl cast a spell that caused countless sharp ice blocks to appear floating in the air, pointing in the direction of the fire lizard. As fast as cutting ice, blocks of ice continuously rushed towards the lizard, two opposing streams of power meeting each other, causing no small reaction. But it seemed that for the little snowball, it didn't matter, but on the contrary, after the white smoke, the fire lizard turned into a giant block of ice. It seemed that in this duel, the little snowball was clearly one level higher. Lamb Trot looked at the ice block in front of him and happily stroked the girl's head as a compliment. It seemed that his ice hammer was still more powerful. After defeating the fire lizard in the echoing announcement space, pass the first level out of 5 levels, continue the challenge. The announcement ended not long after and the second door slowly opened. Both he and the little snowball focused their eyes on the door. Coming out of the door was a walking skeleton. Lamb Trot just stood there looking at the creature in front of him moving. Surrounding the skeleton were tattered and disjointed bandages that looked extremely strange. According to the system notification later, that creature is a bandaged monster, undead type 1 stage 9 stages. Just like the first time, on his lips was a confident smile, looking at his second challenge and thinking, for others, stage 1 and 9, it might still be a bit difficult. While each person was doing their best to take the test and were full of calculations in their heads, outside the world, the silver-haired man standing right in front of the stone screen was still quietly and seriously watching each person. As for me, it was a bit childish. The thought in his head ended. His hands in his pockets looked at the pile of ice rubble in front of him. That was the bandage monster, but it was easily removed by the small snowball. The silver-haired man and his staff witnessed everything through the screen. He crossed his arms and said, "You rotten boy, just now you were lucky to be restrained by your attributes. Next is the real challenge." Returning to the virtual world, after defeating the bandaged monster, the system also sounded a reminder, passed the second level, continued to challenge, and announced the end of the third door. Lamb Trot and his pet looked at the object that was slowly appearing. The first thing that appeared was something that looked extremely dry and dark. Looking closely, it was probably a hand on the creature's body. The next thing that appeared was its face, only its rainbow-colored eyes protruded outward from its dry, straw-covered skin. And then when he was able to fully see the object before his eyes, he saw only evil and darkness covering its body along with an echoing roar. This third obstacle is easily recognized as Dry Majestic Beast, Flora, 2 stages. Outside, the silver-haired man still maintained his crossed arms posture and silently assessed. Looking at his appearance, it seemed that his pet beast was at most a stage 2, and now it was a stage 2 withered beast. Even if he had exceptional talent, it would be impossible to surpass this level. Inside, the two sides rushed into battle. The withered beast's arms were covered with icicles that the little snowball had just created. Lamb Trot looked at the scene before him seriously and exclaimed, "This beast's flesh was so thick, it could actually withstand an ice hammer." After being stabbed by sharp ice stalactites, the crazy beast began to throw its tentacles at the small snowball. Following the movement of the ice body on its arm, it fell out and scattered everywhere. As it moved, its tentacles collided with the ground. The sound of broken rocks and soil continued to echo. It can be seen that the power of this monster cannot be underestimated. Right after that, the tentacles quickly caught the snowball and kept squeezing it. When he saw that his prey was being kept, the withered beast did not hesitate too long and used all his strength to gain momentum and immediately ran towards the little snowball being held captive. Outside, the silver-haired man excitedly watched the battle unfold. "Ha ha, even though the new student was powerful, he only came here." But then the smug smile on his lips suddenly disappeared. His eyes widened in surprise as he looked back at what had just happened. The beast's feet were frozen and stuck to the ground after not long running. It waved its hideous hands in the air and kept screaming, emitting a strange cry. C2. Lamb Trot proudly pointed his finger at the beast and ordered the little snowball. The field was extremely cold. After receiving the order, the little snowball always cast a spell towards the enemy. He curled his lips into a contemptuous smile and said with satisfaction, "Do you think we only have one skill?" Following the question, another command was given, "Ice hammer, continue." As he finished speaking, sharp ice stalactites rushed towards the beast. He reflexively raised his arms to block the attack and with a scream of pain, the ice blocks were pinned tightly to his arms. Lamb Trot stood outside the range of the huge sharp ice on the ground with the little snowball, looking at the frozen monster right in the middle. struggling to block each attack. When the withered autumn monster is focusing on its front attack, it doesn't even realize that there are sharp ice icicles lurking behind it, just waiting to pin itself to its flesh. By the time it could react to the danger behind it, it was too late as sharp ice crystals simultaneously pierced its body. The beast was pinned down by the ice at its feet, unable to move and avoid it, as if taking it all, only having time to hear the screams of pain echoing in the space. Just like that, the third obstacle was destroyed. He stood outside looking at the monster's corpse on the cold ice, contentedly rubbing his pet's head. It was done. The result of the match was clear right before our eyes. The thick layer of ice on the ground gradually melted away. The system announced, the third gate was successfully passed. Continue to challenge the remaining 2 doors. Behind the bars of the 4th door there are 5 bloodthirsty red eyes eagerly waiting to be released. Looking at what was behind the door, he was momentarily surprised and startled. Outside, there were a few people who woke up after the test. There was the sound of gnashing teeth and cursing. Damn it, just a little more, and I can kill that pet beast. There were also people who couldn't pass the test and held their faces in regret. Sigh, I failed again this year. Others complained, I didn't expect the difficulty of the 5th level to be so difficult, but it was the most pet beast of the 6th stage. Besides those who failed, there were also those who succeeded and laughed happily. Ha ha ha, I succeeded, now I'm also a trainee beastmaster. The losers, seeing that, shot daggers in their eyes, filled with jealousy and indignation, towards that direction. Damn it. In the midst of the struggle between victory and defeat, a voice rang out, attracting everyone's attention. That was a fierce-clawed monster. The people who had completed their tasks quickly gathered behind the silver-haired man and looked at the screen on the large and small stone tablet, chatting. It was a second-order pet beast. After a few words, someone wondered, why did a second-order pet beast appear at the practice test here? Someone quickly realized, and that guy wasn't the one who challenged the super difficulty level. On the screen a huge pet beast was defeated and turned into a giant ice block. Smoke from the cold ice continued to rise. The 4th level was passed. The last level started. The system announced. Lamb Trot stood behind the little snowball and looked at the pet ice block in front of him and spoke, finally reaching the final round. The people standing outside with wide eyes opened their mouths in surprise, looking at what had just happened in front of them. Someone spoke in a confused tone with a tone full of doubt. How could that name be so strong? I knew all the best students in the high school here, but not this person. As soon as the other person finished speaking, the official also followed suit and opened his eyes and woke up. She stood up and shouted happily, I succeeded. I became a trainee beastmaster. How are you doing? Right after finishing the celebration, her eyes collided with the crowd gathered in front of the stone, arguing about something on the screen. Wah, it was too strong. She curiously looked at the crowd wondering, what was going on? The security officer quickly ran back to where the crowd was standing. Through the crowd of people, she looked up at the screen admiringly. Lamb Trot had passed the 4th gate at the super difficulty level. That was amazing. A man standing in front of her excitedly shouted, Get out! Get out! The creature at the final level gradually appeared before everyone. Everyone who saw it was extremely surprised, so a series of questions about that animal were continuously asked. This. What kind of monster is it? On the screen is a mighty lion with a murderous aura in addition to 2 long, sharp fangs that add to its dangerous appearance, making it so that no one can underestimate it. This final obstacle is the saber-toothed lion, a level 2 and 5 beast system. The security officer's eyes couldn't help but look worriedly. Some people around couldn't help but cry out in dissatisfaction. But it was a saber-toothed lion. This was too perverted. Normally, how could a student win? Inside the rock, while the little snowball next to him was trying to control the sharp ice stalactites to fly towards the enemy, Lamb Trot was excited to see the animal that had just appeared excitedly speak up. Finally there was someone who knew how to fight. It seemed that he too underestimated this creature when the snowball's ice hammer was easily dodged by it. He looked at the animal's recent movement and thought seriously, it was so fast. As soon as he dodged the move, the mighty saber-toothed lion rushed towards the little snowball, decisively grabbed her and launched a sneak attack with his claws. The little snowball reacted quickly and immediately dodged the move. But it seemed that this time luck was not on her side because her shoulder was chipped at an angle as a testament to the wild beast's strength. Outside, the silver-haired man focused on watching the match, pursed his lips and seriously assessed, this time to see if you have any new tricks. This young man, I admit you have the ability, but this time you really have to stop here. Back inside the match, after the saber-toothed lion's pounce just now caused a strong shock, the beast was about to take strong steps towards the forest. He and the little snowball stood there ready to fight. At the same time, His mind was also drawing up his own calculations. Although the little snowball was one level higher than the saber-toothed lion, the pet's strength was not completely determined by its level. It also depended on the beast's attributes, status, environment and strategy. Again, all of these are factors that affect victory or defeat. The eyes on his face also followed the line of thought and were filled with a heavy look. He frowned. The little snowball had fallen into a weak state due to going through 4 consecutive battles, and the saber-toothed lion was a pet that had strength in 1 versus 1 situations. Its speed and strength were definitely higher than the little snowball, so it was clear that this would be a difficult fight. Lamb Trot silently analyzed. While Lamb Trot's mind was full of thoughts, the red, deadly eyes of the wild animal kept facing him. If this continues, I could really lose. Must find an opportunity. Just as the thoughts in his head ended, the saber-toothed lion with an extremely ferocious expression and full of murderous intent, red eyes, furrowed eyebrows and a mouth slightly revealing sharp fangs was reaching out with its paws to pounce on the little snowball. The Lamb Trot behind promptly responded to the command. Snowball prepares. His eyes were full of thought, silently calculating the right time, which was now. The moment the saber-toothed lion's claws were about to touch the little snowball, he shouted an order, "Ice hammer." The two opposing forces meeting each other caused a shocking reaction. Both the snowball and the saber-toothed lion were lying on the ground. The lion's side seemed much more miserable as its body was covered with sharp icicles and there were also scattered ice chips around it. The crowd outside was intently watching the scene happening inside and were talking loudly. What was going on? Was the match drawn? How was it calculated? Suddenly there was a scream that pulled everyone's attention back. That's not right, everyone look. On the screen was an image of a saber-toothed lion lying on the ground, its body full of injuries from the fierce battle just now. It was shaking with all its strength trying to stand up. Yet he can fight on par with a stage 2 and 5 saber-toothed lion, so his pet is at least a stage 2 and 5. This kid is really good at hiding it. This is the result of my careful consideration. On this side, the saber-toothed lion roared fiercely. Its roar shook the entire place. The little snowball walked lightly as if it had something hidden. It turned 180 degrees, waved its arms decisively, preparing to attack. As expected, it took advantage of its strengths to launch a move that caused the opponent to freeze and basically be unable to move anymore. The lion's eyes were filled with indignation, then it tried to move closer towards the little snowball, seemingly without thinking before her attack. Lamb Trot thought, that's right, saber-toothed lions are originally pets from extremely cold regions, so they have very good resistance to the harsh cold. His face darkened, his worried expression began to be covered with a few drops of sweat. It was restrained. Suddenly the system displays a notification that a new achievement has been achieved. The pet has used the skill a total of 10 times, and received 100 achievement points. Started the pet skill unlocking function. As soon as he finished reading, he was extremely surprised. What else was the skill unlocking function? At this time, the screen shows 3 new skills: the extremely cold chains control skill, controlling the ice element to condense into chains, restraining the target's actions, unlocking nearly 40% growth and 50 achievement points, ice shield, defensive skill that manipulates the ice element to form an ice shield that freely defends against attacks from all directions, unlocked with 60% growth, 50 achievement points, ice mist nova, an area damaging skill that quickly throws a large amount of ice elements in a designated area into a spot and in the blink of an eye releases it for ice elemental damage. Unlock requires 80% growth and 100 achievement points. He was extremely surprised and exclaimed, how can he combine so many skills? He began to make calculations. In general, pets have at most only 2 basic skills. The more skills they have, the more strategies they can combine with them. Ice Mace is the main damage dealing skill and depends heavily on controllability. Although the cold field has a wide range and causes a lot of damage as well as controllability, but it is still not enough. The most necessary thing in the current situation is strong, single control skills. As soon as he finished thinking, he raised his hand to touch the extremely cool X, a control skill that consumed 50 achievement points and left 50 achievement points. Just as he was thinking about what to do with the remaining points, the saber-toothed lion immediately rushed forward, preparing to attack the 2 people. They immediately released a move to control it, but it couldn't avoid it and was immediately attacked. After launching the attack, the little snowball smiled softly, leveling up the little snowball. At this time, the system announced that the snowball was at stage 2 and 7, with growth increasing by 54%. Everyone outside was in an uproar. Hey, what is that light like? Have you leveled up? It can't be. They kept discussing. I didn't see him consume any materials, even for combat experience. The opportunity to level up is only after winning, right? Could it be that he cheated? At this moment, Lamb Trot gently waved his hand, signaling, "Come here." Immediately, the lion flew up in mid-air, preparing to pounce on the two of them, Lamb Trot said, then tried using the extremely cold chain move. Immediately, the little snowball released an extremely cold chain move that made the lion unable to move anymore. Being bound by the chain, it kept struggling and crying out weakly. Lamb Trot took this opportunity to gently accumulate aura. Immediately, a new ice hammer move was completed and launched straight towards the lion, causing it to roar in pain. Outside, everyone became confused. What kind of skill is this? Why is this happening? The hot tin van shouted angrily, why could his pet use 3 skills? At this moment, the two of them were standing and looking at the lion being tortured by each move. Its body was shaking from the cold but not completely collapsed. Lamb Trot smiled softly, is your skin that thick? At this moment, the little snowball's eyes lit up, as if something was wrong. It smiled coldly and said, let's do it again. With just a third move, the lion was submerged under the cold ice. The system immediately displays, congratulations, the challenge is over, you have successfully passed the super assessment. The security jumped up and cheered, you won, you are so great. Everyone outside was surprised, but he actually passed. This is impossible, he must have bought the jury. Ha Chan Van thought, I really didn't expect this rotten boy. He glanced slightly at Lamb Trot. The beast-riding teenager had outstanding talent. I had seen him quite a few times, but a person appearing out of nowhere, surprising everyone, was still the first time I had met him. At this time, the system sent a notification again. Lamb Trot's physical level 2 increased to 5, his soul 2,8 increased to 7,8. Level, gather soul power 780, soul magic, no pets, little snowball, achievement points 3. Small snowball level 3 stage, growth rate 84%, ice hammer skills, extremely cold field, extremely cold chains. Lamb Trot happily thought to himself, no wonder it was a special level cleansing ceremony of super difficulty, the increase in strength was truly amazing. Suddenly a notification is sent, you can sign a contract with the second pet. He was extremely surprised and thought, what will the second contract be? It seems like I have to go to the pet store. The notification appeared again, the trainee beastmaster, through the assessment of the trainee beastmaster status, had completed the first cleansing ceremony. For completing it, he received 200 achievement points and a level 11 soul stone. The reward was given, inviting you to escape the inspection area, which made him widen his eyes in obvious surprise. When he escaped, there were many people around him watching, which made him extremely surprised and bewildered. They kept asking, how did your classmate do it? Classmate, how did you get your pet? I've never seen it before, your brother is really amazing. At this moment, security ran from behind and hugged his neck and said, I'm sorry, I know you will definitely succeed, I know that. She cooed on his back, he gently touched her hand, his face turned red perhaps because of embarrassment. At this moment, in the chaos, Hot Tin Van walked in and said, this young man, your performance is really amazing, I take back what I said before, your confidence comes from strength, not rude impulsiveness at all. The surrounding people were constantly talking, the examiner was actually apologizing to a student, it was really unexpected. Lamb Trot spoke up at this time, I don't care about this. Ha Chan Van approached and asked, your name is Lamb Trot, right? Do you want to join our Beastmaster Association? You can be selected for a reserve position with generous compensation and benefits. This does not conflict with your application to enter the Beast Bending Academy. After graduating, you will immediately receive the position of Deacon of the Association. How do you feel? The students heard that and were continuously stunned. The security officer next to them happily whispered, you, please agree quickly, you must be excellent students who have graduated from the Beast Bending Academy to be eligible to participate in the evaluation and join the Beast Bending Association. Among countless students, Lamb Trot is the one chosen. The fierce competition is equivalent to thousands of horses crossing the dugout bridge. Lamb Trot thought a bit, indeed, if he agreed now, he would not have to worry about living expenses and tuition for 4 years at the Beast Academy, and everyone would admire him. But then he hesitated a bit, his eyes slightly rolled down. There is no free meal in the world, the more he receives now, the more he will have to give back in the future, not to mention the rules of the association are so many I don't want to lose my freedom now. Then he said loudly, Mr. Examiner, thank you for your good intentions, but I have thought about it carefully, I will wait until after graduation to consider it. A classmate behind him immediately spoke up, teacher, if he doesn't leave, do you think I can come in? Ha Tran Van did not answer him, his expression darkened, thinking to himself, the boy is very good, with his current growth rate, He will definitely be 100 times stronger than now. At that time he will be able to request the highest level of benefits from the Beast Bending Association instead of the little benefits he has at the moment. Thinking about it, he said, if that's the case, I won't force you anymore. If you have a need or change your mind, you can always come see me. Then he pointed to the badge on his shirt and said loudly, Ha-Chan Van. However, he only received cold eyes from Lamb Trot. At this moment, they stepped out into the large yard area that contrasted with the smallness of the two of them. Suddenly a call came from the other side. The security officer was waiting for us, making her a bit surprised. Her two classmates quickly ran over. She immediately introduced herself to Lamb Trot. Brother, this is the classmate next to me, from the banquet in Trong Hu Van. Then they ran up and held the officer's hand, warmly saying, our officer wants to have your brother's contact. Lu Tu Yen happily took the phone and ran over. Please make friends with me, we've already noticed you, let's go out together later. The girl behind her also raised her hand to greet him. She is the classmate next to him and also likes him very much. The security official was a little angry, and Lamb Trot was a little confused. We still have to ask for permission to go first. As soon as they finished speaking, the two of them immediately turned on flash mode, making friends later. Suddenly his phone rang with a text message, going to the office. He quickly went to the homeroom teacher's office. He slightly poked his head in and called out, Miss, I'm looking for you. The homeroom teacher was dressed extremely sexy. She turned around and calmly spoke, I heard you passed the super difficult level of the test. Lamb Trot just nodded slightly without replying. She immediately rushed to hug him happily and shouted, so good, you know I value you the most. He helplessly remembered the time when he got a bad score and she let him play a game of chase. Thinking back, he burst out laughing. Then she took out a mysterious book and said, yes, this time I called you here because I wanted to discuss something with you. He took the book that seemed old and wondered what it was. She pointed to the book and said, in this book are recorded the basic soul magic techniques and cultivation methods. This is one of the required courses for beast bending trainees, so it's better for you to get familiar with this course first. Soul magic and beast taming masters, in addition to pets, fighting methods are the most important. She added that a beast with advanced soul magic can even easily kill ferocious beasts with soul magic without having to rely on pet beasts. Not only can he coordinate with pet beasts in battle, but he also has tricks to protect beastmasters in fierce battles to avoid them from being injured. He suddenly understood what she was saying. After having this skill, he could protect himself in the match. He happily shouted, thank you homeroom teacher, I will go practice this right away. She calmly waved her hand, go ahead and come to her if you have any trouble in the future. Later he returned to his room. He sat on the floor attentively reading the book, Soul Protection. This effect creates a shield of soul power, consumes soul power and can resist all damage at 360 degrees. After reading it, I was a little concerned. The early bird catches the worm. Let's learn the basics first, then wait until after entering the Beast Bending Academy so that we can take the time to study more advanced courses. Time passed quickly. 10 minutes later, his body seemed to be surrounded by a stream of spiritual energy. Lamb Trot opened his eyes seemed to glow. It seemed he had successfully received the book. Gradually a shield of power was formed that surrounded him. Lamb Trot raised his hands and thought to himself, it seemed he had grasped the basics. It takes normal people days or even months to master soul magic, but I can learn it in just 10 minutes. It seems that 7,8 soul constitution is extremely useful. Suddenly the system screen displays, successfully mastered a type of soul magic. The system continues to announce, the reward is 100 achievement points, the current achievement point is 350, do you want to spend 50 achievement points to upgrade the Soul Guardian? He clenched his fist. Sure enough, the system also worked very quickly for soul magic. The system displays the achievement point reward of 100 points, the current achievement point is 350, do you want to spend 50 achievement points to level up the Guardian Soul? After reading the notice board, he happily thought to himself, he didn't expect to accidentally earn so many achievement points. It would be best to upgrade the life-saving skill to 2 levels. After thinking for a while, he clicked agree. The system board quickly updated. You have consumed 100 achievement points and have 250 achievement points left. Only to see that the forest is surrounded by a blue circle of power and the system displays and protects the souls of the 3 members. He looked at the protective layer with excitement, feeling like the protective layer had both bigger shoes, and could even hold 3 to 4 people. That's true. After a while, the system board again showed that the remaining soul power was 770. Looking at the notice board in front of him, he pondered and thought, it seemed that each time he used soul protection, he only needed to consume 10 points of soul power. His soul power limit was 780, so he could release it 78 times. Suddenly he remembered something and exclaimed, "By the way, the soul stone given to the Beast Tamer training achievement has not been used yet, I should use it now." Say it and do it. Lamb Trot immediately used the reward, soul 7,8 increased to 8,8. At the same time, the soul power of 780 increased to 880. He excitedly picked up the book, thinking to himself, with so much soul power being used only for one layer of defense, it was a bit of a waste. He had to learn 2 more moves to do it. The first move that Lamb Trot wants to learn is Soul Command. You need to concentrate your mind to condense the soul on your finger, then shoot it out. The second move is also known as Soul Shock, doing the same as the first move, then gathering energy into the fist and then releasing it. That night, Lamb Trot concentrated his mind and poured his soul force into his fingers, waiting for the right spot. He shot into the wall, creating a small hole. Consumes 10 soul power points. He felt that although this move was not powerful, it was as accurate as shooting an arrow. Lamb Trot continued to try to form a fist into a fist to gather soul force into his hand. He lowered his center of gravity to prepare for a full power punch to shock the soul force directly forward. Lamb Trot has consumed 30 points of soul power. The result did not disappoint him at all. After that attack, he made a big hole in the wall. He was surprised by how powerful it was. Notification system: you have successfully learned 3 soul magic skills, and received a soul nourishing potion as a reward. This is a medicine that can quickly restore the full power of soul power. In his opinion, the effect is very practical, but you have to wait until the important moment to use it. He decided to spend 100 achievement points to raise the arrow and soul shock power to level 2, leaving 150 achievement points remaining. Keep the remaining achievement points and use them later. If you earn some money tomorrow, you'll have to go buy a second beast. At the quest center, he thought it was his first time accepting a money-making quest, but with his current abilities, doing some normal level quests shouldn't be a problem. Display system: reward tasks include chasing ghost dragonflies near Duong's Sun Village, reward 20,000, killing the parakeets on Highway 302, reward 30,000, clearing away the ghost fish occupying Loch Min Lake, reward 10,000, eliminating corpse beetles in Tang Chung Valley, reward 40,000. Lamb Trot thought without hesitation, of course I chose the biggest reward. The installation machine rang. Because you are currently a trainee beastmaster, for your safety, you have been paired with 3 teammates, your rewards will be divided equally. He was irritated at the arbitrariness, blurted out a curse, "Damn, you're cheating, I can handle it myself." The navigation machine shows a map with an area circled in red. Please arrive at Tang Chung Valley before 2 p.m. Exactly 2 p.m., when he arrived at the valley, besides him, there were 3 other people. One with dark blue hair among them crossed his arms and spoke up, finally arriving. Lamb Trot raised his hand to greet them. The guy with dark blue hair was a low-level beastmaster. Trong Loi pointed at him sarcastically. "He's been waiting for you for half a day, you haven't graduated yet." Another guy is a low-level beastmaster. Zhao Mingshan said contemptuously, "Why did you pair us with a chicken that hasn't graduated yet?" Finally, there was a beautiful girl, a low-level beastmaster. Vuong Tuat Van reminded them that the 2 of them had scared him. She walked over to talk to Lamb Trot. "The handsome boy, just follow her later." He smiled and replied, "That's right, you haven't graduated yet, you have to bother your brothers and sisters next." Tuat Van smiled with satisfaction, "Very good." Min's son is extremely itchy. Bao Tuat Van, "Are you in love with a guy again? Be serious, this mission may be more difficult than you think, just don't lose your life." She didn't pay any attention to his words, turned away, and farted. Min's son appointed himself as the leader and gave orders to Lamb Trot. "I will temporarily take on the position of captain of this team. When we reach the mission point, you must follow my instructions. At that time, your mission reward will be less, do you understand?" He looked down on these people and thought to himself, they were all people who were not qualified to be accepted into the Beastmaster's Academy, and could only rely on the little beast bending techniques they had learned in high school to carry out their survival tasks. But on the outside, he's still happy and obediently agrees, "Just distribute according to the work, the more you do, the more you receive." He also saw that he was reasonable, so all 4 of them began to carry out their mission. To reach the valley, you must access the insect lake. After walking for a while, they reached the mouth of the valley. It was very slippery and easy to slide. Looking at it with the eyes, it was difficult to determine what was hidden below. Suddenly, thousands of crustacean beetles came out. Each of them had sharp teeth. They gathered in one place. It was scary to see. The snow cloud let out a loud cry. Min Sun felt that there was nothing difficult at all, he said, he just needed to fill the hole, kill these armor bosses and that was it. After that, all three of them began to summon their own beasts. The captain's was a 2-stage, 5-stage wild beast rhinoceros. He raised his hand and called it, come. Next is Trong Thunder with a wind iron mantis belonging to the 2-stage, 6-stage insect system. Finally, the Snow Cloud, her beast is a terror bee of the same type as the lightning mantis, 2 stages and 5 stages. She winked and signaled to Lamb Trot, little brother, just stand behind me. At that time, Lamb Trot put his hands in his pockets and followed behind, thinking, first let's see how brave these people are, then it won't be too late to take action. Then suddenly a swarm of crustacean beetles flew towards them. Min Sun immediately gave the order, rushed forward and killed everyone for me. As soon as he finished speaking, his rhinoceros rushed straight into the middle of the beetles. The green-haired guy with a disdainful face raised one hand and said, you rude thing, look at me. Having said that, he immediately ordered the wind iron to attack. Right after that, the beetles did not sit still and die, so they surrounded Trong Thunder's mantis. On this side, the girl smiled gently and then just raised one finger and replied, don't try to achieve your intention, bee, come on. Vuong Tuat Van immediately ordered his terrorist bees to use venom and attack. On the other side, the crustacean beetles surrounded the mantis and then became paralyzed and fell to the ground. The screams were accompanied by an ear-splitting sound. Seeing that, Trong Loi proudly said, what do you think, newbie? The three of us coordinate very well, right? You just need to stand next to him and shout, 666, a slang meaning super super super. Min Sun raised his shoulders and said, do you still want to get the prize money? Just think of it as tuition. Vuong Tuat Van laughed, haha, when that time comes, I will give you some of my points, as long as you stay behind me and protect yourself, that's all. Lamb Trot looked at the crustacean beetles slowly crawling up on the ground, thinking to himself, a series of colorful attacks but basically posed no threat to these insects. At this moment, there was a scream, and the crustacean beetles rushed out in numbers 10 times larger than just now. Tuat Van shouted in panic, what was that sound? I only saw the crustacean beetles frantically rushing out in ever greater numbers. Now a whole herd gathered before the eyes of the crowd. They were so numerous that it turned into a bottomless black cloud. Trong Loi's face changed color and shouted loudly, a new one appeared in the cave, but apparently not, they were looking for help. Lamb Trot calmly analyzed, could it be that there was an even bigger Tang and armored insect king inside? Faced with such a large number, the three people's beasts were quickly defeated and were also attacked by them. The blue-haired man was extremely panicked and shouted, quickly take back the pet beast, otherwise you will be killed by these insects. Cheu Min Sun quickly shouted loudly, the rhinoceros came back here quickly. Only then did the Lamb Trot behind speak, it was useless, the sound that this funeral of armored insects had just emitted had a paralyzing effect, everyone's pets were now completely disobedient to orders. What? Van Tuyat's face changed, what should I do now, my bees? Trong Loi grabbed Lamb Trot's collar and shouted, you mother efker, you knew this early but why didn't you say anything, you're just a trash who only knows how to mock. Lamb Trot said with a disdainful face, now what you have to worry about is not your pet, but your own life. Hearing that, he immediately turned his head and saw thousands of black beetles flying towards them. Cheu Min Sun did not fight but trembled at this scene, he was sweating in panic and shouted, run quickly or we will surely die, this damn mission is not normal at all. Having finished speaking, he immediately turned around and ran away, but the bugs did not give him the satisfaction. They increased their speed very quickly and chased him, he thought he would die for sure this time, his eyes opened wide in horror. But when he looked back, he saw that Lamb Trot had erected a vague barrier in front of him, protecting the soul he activated so that the bugs could not penetrate. Trong Loi that was shocked, mouth open, stammering, this is soul protection, soul magic. Only students of the Beast Taming Academy know this, how could a high school kid like you know? Lamb Trot coldly replied, don't say too much, just stand behind me. Hearing this sentence, the green-haired man seemed to slap himself with his arrogant expression from before, the team was now silent, not daring to say a word. At this moment, Lamb Trot raised his hand to summon a small snowball, and the surrounding temperature immediately dropped. Trong Loi's group was once again frightened, what kind of pet beast is this? I have never seen it before, the other guy snorted and exclaimed, me, I don't know either. Lamb Trot had a calculation in his heart, these group of armored insects, all corresponding to the level of pet beasts, were at most only 1 level and 7 stages, but their advantage was their large number. They did not have O skills with wide area effects. So it's basically impossible to fight them, but my level 3 snowball has the ability to create large area damage. Thinking of this, he immediately ordered the little snowball to use extremely cold ice to freeze all the crustaceans in an instant. He turned to the group of people apologetically and said, taking advantage of this time, there is still time to pack up everyone's pets, if you are willing to give up all the rewards. Everyone in the group gasped in disbelief. Cheu Min's son sat down on the ground in fear and kept saying, okay, all the rewards are for you, as long as we can get the pet to leave safely. But Trong Loi didn't have the heart. He raised his hand and pointed straight at Lam Trot's face. This rotten boy is still threatening us. Do you think that you, as a Lam Trot candidate, have passed the super test? He looked back with cold eyes and replied, yes, I am the one here. Vuong Tuat Van from behind heard that and shouted loudly, sure enough, I guessed that he was a high school student. How could he have this kind of strength? Little brother Lam Trot, quickly save our pets. Suddenly, Trong Thunder rushed forward to block Snow Cloud's face and said loudly, you kid, you're right, I don't believe that ghost, quickly unfreeze the ice so we can get the pet back. Cheu Min's son couldn't help but rush up and give him a punch, shouting loudly, you idiot. With his demonstration of strength just now, there's no need to prove anything else, it's that I have eyes but don't know the mountain. While you guys were still arguing, the layer of ice covering the insects earlier began to melt. Lam Trot saw this and spoke up, time is running out, it's about to melt, you should quickly take them back and leave before the insects wake up. Tuat Van heard that and asked worriedly, what about you? These insects won't die if you keep doing this, they're only under temporary control. He looked down at the cave and smiled lightly. Without answering directly, he said, telling the enemy to capture the king first. Trong Loi heard that and had to cover his face and sit up and ask, this rotten boy, could it be that he wants to go inside? He and the little snowball jumped down, leaving only an echo. Everyone took their time. After reaching the bottom, he looked around to assess the surrounding situation and thought, although it's dark here, I can see clearly. It seems that the effect of improving physical strength also has an impact on eyesight. In the darkness, countless bugs appeared and then without hesitation rushed straight towards him, but before they could touch him, a spherical shield appeared, causing them to crash straight into him, protecting his soul. In exchange, Lam Trot also responded to them with a few ice spears and ice maces. Then there are also a few fists and soul shock force. The bugs were immediately smashed into pieces by him. However, 2 fists were difficult to defeat with 4 hands. Being surrounded by a group of bugs caused a few cracks to appear in his shield, which was too much. If this continued, even his soul power, no matter how much he had, would not be able to block it. While his mind was still moving quickly and the bugs continued to attack, suddenly a thought flashed in his mind, that's right, I still have achievement points. He called out the system panel, Ice Shield, which is a defense skill that manipulates ice elements to form a shield, which can freely defend against attacks from all directions, consuming 50 achievement points. Nova Ice Mist, a skill that deals range damage, quickly compressing a large amount of ice elements in a designated area, into a point, and immediately exploding, dealing ice damage, consuming 100 achievement points. Remaining achievement points, 150. Seeing that, he couldn't help but silently feel lucky, just being good enough to learn. The little snowball immediately radiated a bright light, and the system also displayed a notification that the little snowball had learned Ice Shield and Ice Mist Nova. The little snowball smiled slightly. As for Lam Trot, he was still frantically thinking of ways. With an ice shield, the little snowball could move freely without having to protect its soul, but first it was necessary to collect the surrounding ice elements, which could also be used in combination with the extremely cold field. After the onslaught of attacks from the bugs, the protective shield was finally broken. Seizing the opportunity, he gave the order, little snowball, use extremely cold field. The little snowball immediately used the skill, causing the bugs to freeze completely. Then his protective shield was also restored, but this time only he was inside, protecting his soul, reopening it. Looking at the surrounding scenery, he happily said, good, the ice element is there. Then the next step, let's use the Nova Ice Mist. As soon as he finished speaking, the ice elements immediately gathered together, becoming a small beam of light at the little snowball's fingertips. The bugs now also began to gather around him again, but at this time, the Ice Mist Nova, a stream of power carrying the energy of the ice element, swept through the oncoming bugs, causing them to shatter into pieces. The system notification appears that you have killed 50 zombies. Lam Trot saw it and happily said loudly, the shield has been broken, this move is too strong. Simply put, this is an explosion. The system displayed another notification. The little snowball was at stage 3, promoted to stage 3 and 2, growth rate was 84%, increased to 89%. The next stage of the current snow girl, little snowball, had the following skills: ice hammer, extremely cold chain, extremely cold field, ice frost nova. Looking at the displayed results, he thought with satisfaction, pets gain experience through combat and can also level up. Although it's a bit slow, there are too many insects here, so it's also a very good place to level up. 89% maturity. Seeing this number, he couldn't help but think, maybe today I can make the little snowball break through to the next stage. Suddenly from inside the cave a loud scream came, accompanied by the sound where several more bugs aimed straight at him. Seeing that, he said excitedly, "It seems their king is inside, let's rush in." Outside the cave, the other 3 people were still resting. At this moment, Tuat Van spoke up, We have to quickly report the danger of this mission, otherwise the forest will be in danger." Trong Loi heard that and shouted loudly, "Why did he care about that brat? He was looking for death on his own." Suddenly someone appeared here. On his chest hung a medal. He spoke up and asked a question. "Up ahead is the location of the corpse armored quest, right? This person is Beastmaster Tan Dong, Luo Dat." Hearing that, Cheu Min's son immediately looked over and replied, "Yes, the target point is still ahead, but I advise you to be careful, don't go." Before he could say a word, his eyes were fixed on the medal of the person who had just spoken, his expression blank. Trong Loi and Vuong Tuat Van both shouted in surprise when they saw it. "The Bronze Beastmaster badge, you are actually a Bronze Beastmaster." The Beastmaster badge issued by the Beastmaster Association is currently divided into Bronze level Beastmaster, top 30% Beastmaster worldwide, Silver Beastmaster, top 12% Beastmaster worldwide, Gold Beastmaster, top 3% Beastmaster worldwide. He saw everyone's surprised faces and immediately showed a satisfied expression and replied, "That's right. I am the Beast Tamper Master Tan Tong, Luo Dat." The association noticed the change in difficulty of the quest, so they sent me here to clean up this mess. Tuat Van heard that and said excitedly, "That's great, with you I can definitely do it, can you take us with you?" Just waiting for that, La Dat immediately raised his hand to lift her chin, his lips slightly raised, showing a handsome expression and said, "Sister, if you want to see my performance, then I can take you with me." Then turned back to the remaining 2 people and continued, "As for the 2 of them, they are not qualified." The 2 of them didn't pay attention to the fact that they were hated, they just shook their heads and said in unison, "No, we don't want to go." The scene changes to inside the mission area. All the bugs have been frozen. The system notification panel appears. "Congratulations on achieving the achievement of slaying beasts, receiving 300 achievement points and X1 tyranny card. Extinction card, instantly upgrades the current pet to 1 level for a short time, lasting 60 seconds. Lamb Trot saw the reward and immediately raised his hand to confirm, excitedly evaluating, beheading hundreds of beasts, but there is still this kind of achievement, perhaps not much worse than beheading hundreds of people, but this time the reward is really not small, let's accept it. The system continued to display a notification that the little snowball had advanced to stage 3, with a growth rate of 94%. Seeing that, he happily chuckled, "Hee, it looked like there was only one more step left." It turned out to be the snow girl, one step closer. Suddenly there was a sound that made him alert, "I should go out." Suddenly a super huge monster appeared. When he saw it, he was a little panicked, "Oh God, this thing is too big." According to detailed information about the mission, the risk of acquiring the worm species happened a week ago, proving that this guy has not evolved for a long time. Before he could think, the bug screamed, bared its hideous teeth and rushed towards him. At this time, the system also displays a warning, "Dangerous, zombies are attacking the armored insect, stage 4, stage 1. Seeing this, Lin Da's mind went into super speed. "No, that's not possible. If you run away now, you won't be able to get even a penny of money, so try taking a risk." But before he could act, from behind, a stone golem that had broken through the roof of the cave appeared. It landed carrying dirt and rocks everywhere. Followed by La Dat carrying Vuong Tuat Van also appeared. Tuat Van saw him and immediately shouted happily, "Lin Trot, that's great, you're really okay." Lamb Trot glanced over and replied, I'm fine, why did you run here?" La Dat wasn't paying much attention, passing by him, "Oh, why is there another person? Step back, kid, this place is too dangerous, not where you should go." "This one, it's the legendary zombie worm. This 4th level ferocious beast, Out of the tens of thousands of zombies, there is only one that can control insect swarms. I knew it was this guy who was behind this. Look at me," but before he could show off, he grabbed him. "Hey, I'm the one accepting this mission. Please step back, this boss belongs to me." La Dat didn't turn around and replied, "Kid, do you know who I am?" At this moment the other beetle finally rushed to attack. But it was immediately blocked by La Dat's stone golem. He turned his back to the monster, showed a satisfied expression, and said, "Beastmaster Tan Dong La Dat, who are you to dare talk to me like that?" The system board also appears at this time, Earth-type giant rock monster, Stage 3, 9 stages. The beetle saw that it was stopped, angrily swung its claw around the giant rock monster, aiming straight towards La Dat. But before that insect could touch him, an ice chain tied him up, an ice-cold chain. Lamb Trot crossed his arms in front of his chest in response to his previous question. "I am a trainee beastmaster, Lamb Trot." La Dat seemed to have heard of this name before and asked again, "Are you Lamb Trot, the person who overcame that super difficulty? No wonder you have this ability, but let me tell you, after passing the practice trial, and going through hundreds of battles, I have passed the bronze level trial." Lamb Trot raised his hand and scratched his ear, with a suggestive look on his face and replied, "Yes, I'll go too." La Dat immediately asked in a slightly annoyed tone, "What did the boy mean?" Before he could finish speaking, a scream came and interrupted him. "The two of you first stop arguing, there's danger behind." At this point, the beetle broke the chain and knocked the giant rock monster back. La Dat raised his hand to stroke his hair, said angrily, "What a trouble, brat, I will show you what the distance between us is, soul magic." Immediately, yellow stone fragments flew up and converged into the giant rock monster's hand. The system immediately displayed a notification that the current strength of the giant rock monster had increased to Stage 4 and Stage 2. Lambda saw this and was a little surprised, but there is still this kind of soul magic. The giant rock monster jumped up and then gave a heavy blow to the beetle, killing the rock. After the smoke and dust dispersed, it revealed the beetle lying there. La Dat immediately said proudly, "Being able to comprehend advanced soul magic system enhancement is something not everyone can do. This is the gap between us." But at this moment, suddenly, the beetle's whole body turned red, cried out, then rushed straight into the giant rock monster and sent it flying. At this time, the Tang Chung Zop exhaled a long breath and then let out a hissing sound. The system announced that the attacker had evolved into a violent state, and his combat power had now increased to a dangerous Stage 4 and 3. Seeing that the stone giant had difficulty resisting the attack of the insect king, La Dat immediately frowned. This guy was really too difficult to deal with. But fortunately, Lamb Trot did not stand by and watch, but ordered the little snowball to use the ice hammer, and himself used the shock force soul attack to attack the worm for him. Even though he took 2 strong blows, it only left a scorched mark on the monster's body. Although the damage was not too great, it made the worm angry. It used its strength to knock the giant stone aside, then immediately turned to choose the target, Lamb Trot and the little snowball. It was coming. He controlled the snowball quickly using the extremely cold chain. Just like that, soon the monster was wrapped around the horn by the chains. But that alone was not enough. It struggled and jerked back and forth. After just a few seconds, it was able to escape the bondage of the chain. Sensing the danger, Lamb Trot immediately shouted orders and used his ice shield. The reflexes are really fast, but the worm can still easily break it. When the distance from its horn to the forest was only a few centimeters, luckily a giant stone appeared from behind, grabbed the boss, not giving it a chance to go any further. La Dat saw that and smirked proudly. "Now we are even." That said, it is still too much for the giant stone monster. So after only a short while of defending, it was kicked away by the worm's kick like a deflated balloon. The stone giant's body crashed straight into a stone wall, causing it to emit a huge explosion. After that, I saw it fall from above, causing smoke and dust to fly up. At the same time, the giant stone had officially lost its ability to fight and lay silently on the ground. Vuong Tuat Van panicked, hugged his head and said loudly, "Let's run away quickly, this insect is too powerful, otherwise we will die here." Not only her, but even La Dat now knows that he is no match for that monster. He clenches his teeth, swallows bitterly and says, "This kind of monster is too terrible. I will spare its dog's life today. I will think of another way to deal with it later." That was the case with the other 2 people, but with Lamb Trot, he still refused to give up, continued to move forward. He said, "No, everyone just go ahead, I have to stay and kill it and then follow." Hearing those words, La Dat was extremely worried and shouted loudly, "Kid, are you crazy? You saw it too. After strengthening my giant rock monster, I couldn't do anything to it. You looked at him and told him, didn't you just say that the difference between us is that you have learned advanced enhancement techniques, while I have not, right? That's right, he asked confusedly, so what are you trying to do? He didn't answer right away but opened his system panel and used the tyranny card. After that, he coolly entered the enhancement. After speaking, a stream of yellow light appeared and flew around him and the little snowball. Seeing that magical scene, La Dat was extremely surprised and shouted, You actually know how to enhance soul magic, don't joke like that. At this moment, the little snowball's entire body emitted a freezing cold gas, and its eyes glowed with a pink light that looked extremely terrifying. La Dat's eyes were wide open, his mouth was open in surprise. Hey, what kind of joke is this? What kind of god is this kid? Vuong Tuat Van also has an expression that is not inferior, oh my god. The system appeared in the leopard boy's mind. The little snowball had increased to stage 4 and 3, with a duration of 1 minute. His eyes were somewhat cold and calculating, 1 minute, plus my soul magic support, it should be enough. Once he finished powering up, he looked at the boss with a challenging look, come here. It roared majestically in response, but before it could even approach, the little snowball used an extremely cold chain to grab its body and could no longer move. He observed the boss's situation and began to evaluate. As the snowball's level increased, its skill power was also much stronger than before, but he probably wouldn't be able to control it for too long. He had to capture this time. Then, he continuously launched soul shock attacks at the boss. Lamb Trot's face was cold. He beat you to death, and announced that the enhancement time was only 40 seconds left. After a long time of suffering countless soul force shocks, the worm was finally able to break the ice chain. Seeing that he was using too much soul power, La Dat raised his hand to stop him. Hey, stop quickly, if you continue to waste your life and use soul power like this, you will really die. Hearing that reminder, he opened the soul power point information panel and saw that it had 400 points left. He immediately replied, it's okay, my soul power is only used half, you don't need to worry too much. Hearing that, La Dat's face turned pale, doubting life. What? No, it couldn't be like that. Vuong Tuat Van was stunned at what she had just heard. She exclaimed, oh genius, maybe he can really kill this fake puppet. Returning to the fight, the ice around the worm had evaporated and turned into hazy white smoke. Thanks to that, the snowball's crystal-breaking frost attack was condensed and flew on its fingertips. There was no need to say anything else, it immediately activated the skill and rushed straight at the boss. Just like that, the worm was thrown backwards by that Nova Ice attack. The impact force was so strong that Tuat Van could not bear it and immediately fell to the ground. La Dat also had to raise his arms and struggle to support himself. He shouted in confusion, what kind of level of power is this? The reborn Zodiac's entire body was already broken. La Dat continued, no wonder I had never seen his pet before, no way. Hearing this part, covered in cold sweat, she wondered what he was trying to say. He tilted his face towards her and told her what he knew. In ancient times, when the divine beasts were fighting, people gathered the 5 divine beasts with the strongest elements at that time to completely end the world's chaos. From then on, the divine beasts of those 5 top-level elements all disappeared without a trace. Could it be that? Return to Lamb Trot, only 30 seconds left on the tyranny card. Knowing that, he continued to push forward, accumulating the soul shock attack in his hand and rushed towards the boss, saying as he stood, it's time for me to end the battle with this bug. The little snowball clasped his palms together, condensed a powerful ice hammer attack, and continued with a final move.